answered, but I will give Amy Fagan an opportunity to actually vocalize some of the answers to the questions she was asked earlier about, in particular, participation on league or in league, I mean, and involvement in SATs and those sorts of things. If you could just talk briefly on that, like
Sure.
Amy,
Thanks,
thanks.
Amanda. Can you hear me okay?
Mhm.
Okay. So there were a couple questions about getting involved with League. So there's a couple things. League is this, community group. Like anybody can be part of League, and I included that website link where you can fill out a form and you can get on our email listserv. The other component of League is the executive committee. And so those are the roles that we are going to be soliciting for pretty soon. And so those are the leaders, it's the leadership team. And sometimes requests will come to us and just as a leadership team, we'll address something. Other times it comes out to the whole community. So one of those is the specific action team. And the ClockSat report was, that team was put together a little bit differently than usual previously, and still sometimes we do this as well, but specific action teams are put together by the executive committee, sometimes in collaboration with NASA, with the requesters of, okay, who are the experts that are going to need to tackle this? So that's how things are traditionally done with the specific action team, but the ClockSat team was put together a little bit differently. So Ben, since you're still there, do you want to talk a little bit about how we approached putting the ClockSat team together?
Yeah, so there were a couple stages. Amy and the league executive committee identified the co-chairs to start with, and then the co-chairs identified three leads from the community to really focus on the parts of the report that we thought were going to be really important. And from there, we actually opened it up to the community. We had our kickoff, we got the community engaged and excited about the activity, and then we said, hey, submit self-nominations to participate in this. And we filled out the rest of uh, the team with additional 6 members selected from the community and had oversight from the League XCOM. So it was really good because we weren't just identifying people and saying, hey, this person can probably do a good job. It was people who were really going to be engaged in the activity, and I think they were grateful to have the opportunity to participate.
Yeah, and it was a concerted effort to try to involve more people. As Ben says, sometimes you're just going to think of the same people and over again, and this was a mechanism to allowing more people into the fold.
Thank you, Amy and Ben, for that description. It's really appreciated. All right, my next question is for Jack. Are there any plans to coordinate measurements with lunar orbiting Themis Artemis probes?
No plans at the present time, other than one of the things we're very interested in.
Jack, is he frozen to everyone else?
Yeah,
Yeah, he was frozen to me too, but I thought it was just me with my bad internet.
Yes, I thought so as well. Maybe we'll move on and we'll come back and let him finish his answer when he's back online. Sarah, I've got a couple of questions for you. Hopefully you've been able to grab some water.
yeah, I'm good.
All right, the first question is how will community input be, I guess, um, called for different aspects of the strategy, like those studies that you mentioned? Or how can the
Well, I mean,
community participate?
it will depend on the specific study, right? So the National Academy study, the National Academies will go out and find the expertise they need. The science definition team, I assume, will have some sort of call for that. Special action teams, we just talked about how you put those together. Um, the snapshot report that I was talking about earlier, our plan is to roll that out and leave it open for community comment and take those comments from anybody in the community who cares to submit them. So anyway, there'll be plenty of opportunities. And again, the LSSWs, please come and show up. I know people think that like, oh, it's a waste of time, but like we'll really use the inputs that we get from these LSSWs and other community activities that are invaluable for helping us understand what the community needs are for Artemis. So please keep showing up.
Great, thank you, Sarah. The next one is about the content of the strategy. Will the strategy involve only geology, or will it include astrophysics and heliophysics or other disciplines?
Yeah, and I see that question is from Jack, so I hope that he is back on or at least able to listen. Yeah, the plan for the snapshot report is that it will include astrophysics, heliophysics, and BPS at some level. But for BPS, their decadal is just coming out this summer, and so they're still getting their act together when it comes to what their strategy is for lunar science. And in heliophysics, their decadal doesn't come out for another year, and so again, we have to be sort of flexible and sort of build as our knowledge gets. So I think this first snapshot will probably be a little thin on those topics, but they will, as in the future, we will build those things into the strategy as well.
All right, thank you. And finally, I hope I'm not getting any more questions in. So one of the questions is about Dolly and how it might be, the scope might be changed to feed into future Artemis deployed instruments calls.
I do believe it's even now currently open to Artemis deployed instruments. It's a low TRL technology maturation call, and so I believe that it's open to landed or orbiting or even handheld instruments. So it should be open to anything you want to do at the moon.
Great. Great. Most of the other questions have been already answered by community members or the speakers in the chat. So I'm going to just say that we'll have our break starting now, and we'll come back at 3:15 or 15 after, whatever the next hour is in your time zone.
I
Thank
see
you.
Jack is back on if he wanted to finish.
Jack?
Oh, I can't hear him though.
See him come on.
Okay, Jack, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Wonderful. Thanks, Ricky. Jack, are you available or able to talk?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
Something went wrong on the mute. Yeah, I was just gonna,
Yes.
I was starting to say before that we don't have any current plans for coordination with Themis, for example, but one of the things we're interested in doing with both Lucy and Rolls's is to look for radio frequency interference at low radio frequencies from some of the existing spacecraft, including LRO. And this is not leakage from comms, which are much higher frequency, but rather this is leakage from power supplies and other electronics, which is a very low level. So we're going to attempt that. I think it's going to be very tough to do it with Rolls's because we'll still be in view of the Earth, but with Lucy, we may have a look at it. We expect that level to be very low and not a major source of interference.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jack.